Hello everybody and welcome back to the English Shooting live stream. Of course, for all you regulars, you know what the deal is, and of course a big thank you for joining so regularly and consistently. For anybody new joining, welcome. Don't worry, I don't bite. Get involved. There is a chat box somewhere on your screen. Any questions, topics you want to bring up, anything about shooting or even outside of shooting, I am usually more than happy to discuss, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about what we discuss this evening. I'm a big supporter of everybody having their say, whether or not you agree or disagree, whether or not I agree or disagree with you guys. Let's talk about it. You might be able to change some opinions. You might be able to come at something from a different angle. So please do get involved. And of course, don't forget, hit that like button. It is free. It takes a fraction of a second. It really does help the channel. And if you're not already, please subscribe. We do regular content, regular videos now. And we do this live stream every single Thursday, 8:30 p.m. UK time, covering all the past week's shooting news and topics. So yes, with the intro out of the way, I hope you have all had a fantastic week. It's been an interesting week. I'll be discussing the interesting things both outside of my life and with inside of my life throughout this evening's stream. It's never easy, is it? But yes, we've got some interesting topics to discuss this evening. Nothing to do with me, but everything to do with us is BASC. Like, genuinely fucking hooray what they have released this week. We're going to be discussing this in quite detail, and I will be taking a bit of time to process and really dive in and discuss it a bit further with people. And also, you know, I like to use this as a sounding board because, again, you guys will come at things from different angles. So I like discussing it sort of openly and maybe ad hoc, and then collate everything, and then we'll make a full video on it. But they have gone ham, right? And it is, I mean, I genuinely think they have finally done something that I can overcome the past and support them and rejoin. Seriously, that's how big this is. They've come out and said that firearms licensing inconsistencies are systematic of wider police failings, and they are calling for an entire overhaul of firearms licensing, not just on opinions or sort of fairy tales. They've done some seriously hard work and they've released some seriously interesting information that gives you quite a good insight into the state of firearms licensing. So of course we will be covering that. Within that, we have finally now got data to say how much it costs to issue a firearm or shotgun certificate, which is invaluable, seeing as there seems to be all sorts of whispers of increasing the fees to cover all the costs. Well, now we actually have a bar to say no further than this. We're going to be talking about something that it's sort of a little bit old news, but it's been brought up recently, which is Keam's law. This is off the back of the Plymouth shooting, where there seems to be, well, it's the MP of that local area that is pushing for various new laws around firearms. So I just want to keep everyone fresh on that. Let's not forget about it. We really do need to keep paying attention to it and not let it sort of slip on by, just like the firearm safety consultation. We'll be discussing a little bit about that as well, given your guys' reactions to that video. Also, talking about the match this weekend up in Recoil. It was a level 3 IPSC practical shotgun match run by the quite new Recoil Scotland team. Fuck me, is it a long journey from where we live. Like, I can't possibly live any further south. If I was to live any further south, I would be on the Isle of Wight. And they are equidistance level with Edinburgh and Glasgow. But it was more than worth the trip. But as some of you may have seen on the Facebook page, or down to various just ridiculous rumours that have gone around. It wasn't the most enjoyable match for me personally, but nothing to do with the club or the stages or the competition in general. But we will be going we'll be talking a bit about that, and also sort of reviewing a few of, I think, my personal favourite stages. I've got some footage to go over that with, and of course I do need to give a massive shout out talking about level 3s. That was the last level 3 practical shotgun match of the year. We've got the last level 3 mini rifle match of the year being held at ProShoot in Wales. So I want to give those guys a big shout out and refresh you of how amazing the competition was last year with the video that we did, and also ping you guys the link. I'm going to do that now just in case I end up forgetting, because that wouldn't be out of character at all. If you are interested in taking part in an awesome shooting competition, go and hit up that link and get signed up. So yes, the main news of this week, and really I cannot stress how significant this is, not just in the language and statements that have been made by BASC, but the data that they have released, which I think can be used for a number of different reasons in defending this sport, and countering a lot of the sort of maybe bullshit around it. So you might have got an email, even though I'm not actually a member of BASC anymore, they're still sending me membership emails. I don't know how GDPR compliant that is, but anyway, this article popped up. Firearms Licensing Inconsistencies are systematic of wider police failures. This is the largest shooting organisation within the UK, around 150,000 members, probably a little bit less after dropping their legal expenses insurance, but anyway, I digress. It's a big organisation that are very well linked with the police, so to even come out and say stuff, of wider police failures, that's pretty significant in itself. BASC is calling for a major overhaul of the firearms licensing service following our recent investigation into the state of firearms licensing in England and Wales. Through a series of freedom of information requests, the investigation found significant inconsistencies with the service provided by the 42 separate firearms licensing departments in England and Wales. I mean, they're not really telling us anything we don't already know, right? We won't get necessarily into the nitty-gritty of this article, because what we want to jump straight into, we might come back to it, is this report. And it is absolutely golden, and it starts off in, I think, an incredible way. Like, the main spark of this... the main spark for this report is just glorious, absolutely glorious. Introduction. Over the past 4 years, BASC has produced a series of league tables looking at the turnaround times achieved for firearms licensing departments, FLDs, in England and Wales. We've talked about these league tables before. I've covered them on the channel because, again, it's a really good metric to see how firearms licensing is doing, how your own firearms licensing department is performing, versus the rest of the country, and what you can sort of expect depending on where you live. BASC is the only shooting organisation that has produced such information and has been compiling data on FLDs for more than 20 years. On taking... This is when it gets spicy. This is just like, oh, you really wish you hadn't opened your mouth now. On taking up the post of the chair of Firearms and Explosives Licensing Working Group, FELWIG, again another group that we've talked a lot about. This is really the main group of people that influence firearms licensing. Chief Constable Debbie Tedds stated that she did not think the league tables were helpful, particularly as there was no narrative to contextualise the findings. It was suggested that BASC consider a more constructive way of assessing the relative performance of FLDs, looking at both quantitative and qualitative measures. And BASC to this, fair fucking play, just pretty much turned around and went, hold my beer. So, objective. Given the request outlined above, and at this point she's probably there going, I didn't request shit. Like, I didn't actually want you to. I was just saying how bad the shit you were doing was, even though it wasn't. Given the requested outline above, BASC's head of firearms has produced a more comparative data set which can be shared with heads of FLDs, chief constables, PCCs, MPs, and other opinion formers. Hello. This data set identifies which forces achieve the best turnaround times where possible, looks at comparative costs and staff resourcing of the FLD. This should in turn identify the most efficient and effective FLDs which are failing. Oh, okay. The intention of the review is not to criticise any individual force. They might not want to, but I'm free to do what I like. But rather to identify best practice. Like, to state that this is not a name and shame is utterly ridiculous. Like, this paragraph, I think, is genuinely one of the biggest fuck yous any of our organisations have given. It's very subtle, but it is a massive sit and swivel statement. You wanted something even, more inarguable to tell you how bad you're doing? Okay. So, number of questions submitted via the Freedom of Information request, a lot of data generated from the National Firearms Licensing Management System, and the results, only 34 of the 42 forces contacted, and they've tabled them below. And this is just where you could literally, we could spend probably days going through. We probably will come back to this, but probably enough teasing for now. What actually have they got? So as we can see here along the top, you've got what forces it is, how many staff members they have, the total budget for that firearms licensing department, how many firearm certificate and shotgun certificates are on issue, how many they have processed within a year period. And this is something that they BASC explains, which is, bearing in mind we have 5-year certificates, you should be seeing about a 20% certificate processing rate. Really, you should be seeing above 20%, because new applications, new certificates, this, that, and the other. And of course, you are going to have outlying years where there just happens to be more renewals within that county than any other year. So you are going to see some deviation. But overall, you're looking for at least that 20% mark or around that 20% mark as an indication of that force operating, not necessarily efficiently, but maybe to the bare minimum requirement. You've got turnaround time for renewals. These are all averages. Turnaround time grant, average turnaround time. I guess that's the average between the two. And most importantly, this is the first time I've really seen any real backed data to this. Cost per certificate. And they've done this for every single county. Cert per staff. So, how many staff they have, or how cert by, how many certificates are being processed by staff members on average, and staff costs. I guess that's the average per staff member. And okay, they haven't got all the data for all the forces, because of course not all of the forces responded to this, but you can see massive inconsistencies. That's what and sort of massive disparities. And the budget, the staff numbers and the budget, it is what it is, right? You can't say, of course you can start drilling into it, but take Durham and Essex here. It looks like they've got, is that the numbers? Yeah, you can see Essex has significantly more firearm certificates, almost double, and has almost quadruple the amount of shotgun certificates. So of course their budget's going to be bigger and they're going to have more staff. That's perfectly reasonable, but it's how it then averages out and what the results are. Because in Durham, it is costing a pretty staggering, I believe this is the highest number overall. It is averaging out at costing £521.99 per certificate. Whereas Essex, whilst they've got a bigger budget and more staff, and yes, they have more certificate holders, they're managing to do it for, you know, about a quarter of the price, £131. And this, like, being able to do this is incredible. It seriously could have, this really could be the spark of change to the firearms licensing departments that we have so desperately needed for so long. I will get onto the whole careful what you wish for, because you could never know. Let's, you know, at the end of the day, we are avid, law-abiding shooters, so therefore we should be incredibly skeptical of change or the suggestion of change. But it really does give them a stick in which to metaphorically beat them with, because how do you explain that, right? Not only are they like 4 times the, you know, per certificate in terms of cost than anybody else, they're taking much longer. So, like, on every metric there, they're doing shit. You know, their staff are processing less certificates each. Their staff are being paid comparatively more than anybody else. Their certificates are costing ridiculously more than anybody else, and they're, again, compared, okay, there's people that are higher, but they're up there. So, you know, they've got this traffic light system, you know, top quartile, middle quartile, bottom quartile, and you can see that obviously it's both red. So incredibly interesting. And, you know, let's go back. So this is the table. No, I can't, because it's not actually on the right computer. I'll be doing a full video on it, on this anyway, but you can find this on BASC's website. Basically, if you go to the BASC website, go to news, latest news, you'll find this article, and then I think it's this link here. And you can really go through. So of course you're all going to want to know, as did I, what your local firearms department is like. Of course, I'm in Hampshire. It's really interesting to see this NA. I know Hampshire has been through a lot of recruitment recently, and a fair few people have left. Don't blame them. So there's the NA, but they've got all the other data and metrics. Hampshire's taken on average about 3 months. It's been 3 months since my fucking interview. 4 months since my interview. So, you know, yeah, maybe I'm just being treated differently. I can't understand why. And they're taking about £140 to process certificate, which compared to others is not that bad. The lowest cost per certificate, Humberside, £42.21. Yeah, I think, oh no, there's more. But wait, there's more. Yeah, £42. So this shows what can be done, right? It's not impossible for it to cost this amount. I don't know what it averaged out at. Have they done an average table? No, I might have to plug that into Excel and find out what the average cost overall is. But having a quick skim through, it's looking at about the £100 mark, I would say. Just real rough seat of the pants sort of guesstimation. So £100. Now, let me turn that off for a second so you can come back to my beautiful face. I told you I didn't buy it, only if you ask nicely. Let's find out. I can't remember firearms. You would think this is sort of what I would know off the top of my head. But I always remember there's so many different, you know, one-for-one variations, which are technically free, renewals and this, that, and the other. So we are currently being charged for bring this table back up. Firearm and shotgun certificate. So a singular firearm certificate is £88. A singular shotgun certificate is £79.50. And of course, a coterminous scroll is £90. So, you know, this is why this information is so powerful, because now we can say to them, you know, we've got all these calls from the likes of the Gun Control Network. We've got all of these calls for firearm certificate holders and shotgun certificate holders to pay what it costs, so that the taxpayer no longer has to subsidize somebody's sport. You know, and it's not like, obviously, football is heavily subsidised by the police in attending stadiums and this, that, and the other. But anyway, we should pay our way. Well, if it's looking like the costs, the actual raw costs, on average, is £100 to £120 to process a certificate, putting it up from £88 or £79.50 to £100 to £120, and it's valid for 5 years. Not bad at all overall. And I know there's lots of people that are very staunch in their belief that we should not have to pay a penny. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I disagree with you on that. I think it's an easy win. You know, a renewal is £62 for a firearm certificate, or £49. Even if they were to double, you know, it's every 5 years. It's still working out at something like £20 a year. If you're a shooter and you're regularly going out and shooting, you know, £20 a year should be the least of your worries in terms of cost. You know, insurance, right? If you don't have insurance, legal expenses insurance and public liability and all of this, and you're a shooter, you're a dickhead, go and get it done. Plenty of people offering it. You know, I collectively spend about £120 a year on the various insurances, but excluding the business insurance, right? Because Magload has all sorts of legal expenses insurance with our business policy, as well as, you know, contents and whatnot. But they, you know, £120 a year I'm paying in for all of my own personal insurances. £20 a year equivalent for a certificate, really not the least of my worries where costs are concerned. But this really does give us that stake in the ground to say to all these people we should be paying, you know, well, we pretty much are. And actually, you know, then you can start going in and saying there are police forces that are doing it currently for less than what they are charging for the fees. So there are firearms licensing departments that, based on these figures, are profitable, right? Does that mean we get a rebate? You know, you can't sit there and say we should pay our way when some forces are making money off of us. You know, it's, you know, so like if you really think it should be that fair, give us a little bit of a rebate. We'll take ammunition, gun shop vouchers, magload vouchers, please. So it really does give us something to put this stake in the ground and challenge these, you know, or to retort to these challenges. But BASC is going even further, because they're basically saying that enough is enough, it's broken. And as I've been saying for a very long time, firearms licensing departments are sort of a rule to themselves. They can sort of operate how they want to. They can almost interpret the guidance and the law however they want without being held to account. There is nobody with that big stick to get them back in line. And that's one of the things that BASC is calling for. So let's go down. Recommendations. The report recommends a major overhaul of the licensing service through either a unification of licensing, again something that's been a hot topic for a very long time, as has been seen in Scotland, or the creation of an independent regulator to ensure failing forces are held to account. Like, yes, right? Not only is BASC coming out and saying this, they've got the data and the evidence to back it. Which again, like, bra fucking vo. Like, you know, this is the sort of thing I wouldn't mind paying. I don't know what BASC membership is, but seriously, if they're producing stuff like this, if nothing else, it's giving me great content for the channel. But this is, I think, absolutely just brilliant for the sport and brilliant for the community. Let's go back into the report itself and have a look through it. I haven't had a huge amount of time to really sit down and digest everything. Results. There are 13 forces which, despite COVID, i.e. it was fucking possible, instead of using it as an excuse, managed to turn around renewals and grants between 38.5 and 70 days, the average being 54 days. These forces get a big gold star from BASC. These 13 forces also managed to process applications and renewals between 15.8% and 25.1% of their certificate holders, the average being circa 20%. We didn't even touch on this, but examples including Cumbria, Dorset and Northumbria, who process less than 11% of their applications and renewals. In those forces where the budget figure appeared realistic, again, it's so sordid. Like, BASC, you salty bitch. The cost to process each certificate was between 87 and 121 pounds. The average cost was 181 pound, but this is somewhat meaningless given the huge variation. 7 of the 13 forces with the best turnaround times managed to process certificates at a cost between £118 and £194.87, with an average cost of £140. So this is probably a much better number instead of me just flying by the seat of my pants. This is the average cost of the best performing forces. Right, £140 is basically what it takes per certificate to be able to run an efficient and effective firearms licensing department. Okay, that's around double what we're currently paying, but this is what I said a while ago when we were talking about the increase. So what if it doubles? Okay, yes, it's 140 quid every 5 years. I know there are some people out there that £140 could be their entire shooting budget for the year in ammunition. I completely understand that. I sympathise that. But it gives us such a turnaround to them to say, fuck off and leave us alone. If we start paying exactly what it costs, or moreover what it should cost to process a certificate, then it just removes one less argument against us. And personally, again, you're free to disagree, I think it's worth it from my own personal perspective. Analysis of TVP's budget, where comprehensive data wasn't available, would suggest that the revenue from certificate covered roughly 50% of the cost of the FLD. This is significant as the financial report for 2021 for TVP shows some 57% of its overall budget is in the form of Home Office grants. The number of certificates processed per staff varied from 76, sort of a bit of a boring one. Police Scotland issued 99.35% of firearm and shotgun certificate renewals prior to their expiry dates. So this is important because Scotland is a unified area. It has a central firearms licensing. As far as I'm aware, it still has local ones, but it's overall governed by a national. And they are performing incredibly well. If there is if there's evidence that a centralised licensing department is going to work, there's one. The most recent firearms licensing figures released by the Home Office in July 2020 shows that since the year before COVID pandemic, there has been a 8% reduction in total number of firearm and shotgun certificates held in England and Wales. This represents a loss of over 47,000 certificate holder. That 8% reduction must be in part due to the failure to process new grants in a timely manner. We've talked about this before on the stream, how incredibly damaging this is to shooting sports and the shooting community. Businesses are seeing a direct result from this, right? Especially with the likes of Magload. Practical shooting is it's one of the fastest growing areas of the sport. It's also attracting the sort of the newer shooters in the sports. People are coming into shooting for the first time specifically to do practical shooting. And because two out of the three live fire IPSC disciplines in the UK, you require a firearm certificate or be an RFD to be able to use the guns to perform in the competition at the top level, right? So not being able to process these certificates is preventing people from joining shooting sports. It's, you know, it's the new people overall that bring the money in, right? Because they need to go out and buy everything. Everyone wins. You know, the ammunition suppliers, the safe manufacturers, the gun manufacturers. You know, new shooters tend to buy the most guns because, well, they haven't got any. So it's a huge loss to the shooting economy, and everyone is seeing it. Of course, yes, we have this cost of living crisis and this, that, and the other. That is certainly having an effect as well. But BASC is estimating, where is it? Back in their article, this equates to a net loss of 47,000 applicants. You know, you start putting that, well, they have, and a reduction of more than £100 million to the economy. Right? Yes, £100 million to the wider economy, but that's £100 million to the shooting economy, to the shooting industry. That's not insignificant. You know, people's livelihoods depend on this, right? And this is why it's so serious, and why we should, and why BASC have done this, to really hold them to task. We just ignore the caveats for a second. Conclusions and recommendations. The most obvious conclusion from the data is that there is considerable inconsistencies between the FLDs of the 42 forces. Cost, staffing levels per certificate holder, and turnaround times vary on a scale that cannot be justified. It is often argued that the true measure of performance of an FLD is public safety. Clearly that is true. It is, however, impossible to measure, partly because the Home Office does not collect statistics on deaths and injuries involving legally held firearms. That is because misuse of legally held firearms is exceptionally rare. All this indicates that forces are maintaining public safety. If that is accepted, it is difficult to see why FLDs operate so differently. Similarly to Scotland's unified system is running without delays or any evidence of public safety being compromised. Other serious inconsistencies have been identified by BASC's firearms officer when dealing with members' inquiries. These relate to areas such as land assessment, blanket applications, yada yada yada. That's, skip that one. Despite the considerable problems presented by the pandemic, there were still 13 forces. We've covered that. In conclusion, this should be interesting. FLDs in England and Wales have had a difficult 2 years. Oh, this is going to be a shit sandwich, isn't it? I feel it coming. The total number of certificates held has dropped by over 47,000 in 2 years. Nevertheless, some departments have maintained an excellent service and demonstrated what is possible. The Home Office is currently reviewing fees. Oh! Okay. Alright, so... Sorry. Quick side note. Like, I know, obviously, you know, it's a pretty easy... It's a pretty easy assumption, right? They start asking about fees and what it costs and whether we should pay our way and this, that, and the other. It's pretty easy to conclude or to assume that they are reviewing the fees. I think I might be wrong in this, but I think that is the first black and white statement where they have actually come out and said they are reviewing the fees. So interesting. So the Home Office is reviewing fees, which have always been contentious. Yeah, tell me about it. Simply increasing fees without any reform of the system will anger a shooting population facing numerous inflationary pressures. Any increase in fees should be coupled to reform of the system. Shooters want to see an efficient, consistent, and proportionate licensing system. It is paramount that it safeguards the public, but should also allow lawful shooting to continue without being unnecessarily bureaucratic. The service currently offered is dilatory. I knew there was going to be one word I couldn't fucking pronounce. In its provision to the shooting community. There needs to be a debate as to how firearms licensing can be improved and what that will cost. Shooters and the shooting organizations need to be heavily involved. Yes, like, don't pass up on a fucking consultation this time, guys. and the debate needs to take place now. Wow. Okay, so you can see they're sitting there quite merrily on the fence. Like, again, I'm going to need maybe a few days to sort of process all of that. Now, what I will is, let's get my nice tinfoil hat on here, right? Be careful what you wish for. The police and the Home Office, NABUS and this, that and the other have been chomping at the bit to reform firearms licensing for a very long time. And you know that if they have their way, it will be reformed in a way that will be incredibly detrimental to the shooting populace. Always be wary of change if you are... Be wary of change, but sometimes change is required, right? Let's not be old and fuddy. Whilst I think the motives are pretty pure here, whilst I think this is absolutely incredible, and I have the belief and faith that it will be used ultimately to the benefit of the shooting community, I won't completely cross out the possibility that BASC are in some way being coerced or maybe are even in cahoots in an attempt to reform firearms licensing in a detrimental way to the shooting community. And that the police are playing some sort of game here. The Home Office are playing some sort of game, which is, right, we need to provoke somebody into supplying the evidence that, we're not going to go out there. At the end of the day, they're civil servants. They're not going to go out there and say that they're doing a bad job. Think of their pensions. They need somebody else to sort of light that match. And I think that's what BASC has done here. What I won't rule out is whether this is what the police and the Home Office want. They want that ignition so that they can get to town and really go to town and get to work. And that might be where things ending up. Overall, I still have faith in humanity and some faith in our shooting organisations, and I really do want to believe, maybe I'm being a little bit too naive here, but I really do want to believe that this could be the beginning of a new firearms licensing system, one that is held to account. This whole thing about they should be held to account, there should be a independent body, and or there should be a centralised or unalised sort of department. Both. Why one or the other, right? A centralised department can still go out there and whilst it would be consistent in misinterpreting the guidance or let's say implementing the guidance incorrectly, you still want to prevent them from doing it incorrectly, and you still want to make sure they're efficient. So I think it needs both. I think we need this independent body, and I think we need a centralized system. This is something that has been talked about so many times. There are pitfalls, there are pros and cons to it, but I think ultimately and overall it will benefit us. Like, I'm sure people have had bad experiences, but I have never had a bad experience with the DVLA. I've never had a bad experience with HMRC. I've never had a bad experience with the passport office, right, in terms of dealing with it. And yes, if you leave it the day before your holiday, you're gonna have issues, right? So let's ignore that. But if you follow the procedure and you read their website and you do things correctly, these centralized offices, which, in terms of the DVLA, in terms of the passport office, have very similar roles and functions as, say, a firearms licensing department. In terms of the checks that they will do, in terms of issuing a license or a document, and of obviously having to liaise with many different organizations and bodies. And the DVLA, like when I last renewed my passport, renewed my driving license and even passport, they quote something like 3 to 4 weeks, and it's there in a week. So it does work, and I think could be, not only would a shitload of money be saved, not only would the implementation of firearms law and guidance and the process of firearm certificate applications be so much more consistent across the board. You wouldn't get these disparities across different counties. It will be far easier to, excuse the pun, but to police. Having one centralised body or one centralised office, you know, BASC doesn't then have to phone up 42 different fucking licensing departments, right? They're dealing with the same people for all of the certificate holders. So, yeah, I think this is big. It will be really interesting to see overall how this plays out. Let me know what you think. I'll start going through the comments in a sec. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. That like button, it's right there. Go on. If you haven't already, hit it. Just hit it. Even if you hit it and leave. Even if you hit the dislike button. It's all engagement. YouTube doesn't care. Callum doesn't care. So let's see what you guys are talking about. Handmade props. Hello, or anybody else waiting for a shotgun certificate? I've been waiting since March this year. Nothing yet. Trust me, there are people that have been waiting a lot longer. Delays are all across at the moment. Is CCW a thing in the UK? Daniel, prepare your anus. Within the UK, yes, CCW is a thing. Specifically within Northern Ireland. Within Northern Ireland, they're allowed. I think it's called a PPW, personal protection weapon, which they are allowed to conceal carry. Within mainland, so in terms of England, Scotland, and Wales, no CCWs or PPWs or whatever. There are people that conceal carry within England, Scotland, and Wales. They are usually very spicy policemen. And I don't mean just rolled in Nando sauce. I'd be so good on like a consultation, wouldn't I? Just sat in front of the Board of Parliament. How is it? It costs £83 in one area to issue a certificate and over £100 more in another area. It's crazy. Exactly. That's sort of the whole point. Mini rifle looks as legit fun. Absolutely. It is. It's great fun. You should do it. A lot of Southerners don't realise how much north there is. Yes. Like, bearing in mind the furthest up north I'd ever been was Dumfries. Wait, there's more of Scotland? Wait, this place keeps going? When did BASC grow a pair? I have no idea. And this is actually some point that I've completely overlooked on this, right? It still doesn't sit right with me, this point. But he might be proving himself. Or maybe this adds to the conspiracy that this is what the police want all along. I don't know if I've ever discussed this on the channel. But anyway, let me find... there we go. Who did it? Here we go. So the head of BASC Firearms, Martin Parker. Right? Let's give this a quick search. Am I going to find his LinkedIn? Probably not. Anyway, I recognise the guy. Here we go. I'll use BASC's own article. So, seems like a nice chap. Forensic scientist Martin Parker has been appointed as BASC's new head of firearms. Martin joins BASC from the National Ballistic Intelligence Service, otherwise known as NABIS. And more importantly, and this is where, you know, my tinfoil hat starts twitching. Let's go lever release. It's going to be here somewhere, unless he's had it wiped from the internet. Offensive weapons bill. Oh God, I can't type tonight. is this the one? I would be fucking lucky if so this is Felwig, right? These are the Felwig minutes. You can go and find any of this. As you can see, he's sat previously with Felwig. Oh no, they do it by initials in Felwig. So let's go MP. Let's see if this was FEO training package. No. Oh, what's that? Increases for shotgun and crime. Basically, I can't find it, so I don't want to say it's categorically correct, but I believe in my previous readings he was involved in some way with the offensive weapons ban. So it sort of does give me the heebie-jeebies that the head of BASC's firearm team used to be in NABUS and was involved in some capacity, as far as I believe or remember, in banning guns. So yeah, that's never felt sat that right with me, right? And could be, if you want to really talk about conspiracies and stuff like that, you know, he's a plant, you know, not that sort of plant. He's infiltrated BASC and is now going to destroy the sport from the inside out. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. But if this does turn out to be the match and really the ignition of reforming firearms licensing, as so we desperately need, then he will go from, you know, my it's not sitting right with me to an absolute fucking hero. So we would just have to see how that one plays out. It's there's a lot at stake, so you know, pay attention. English shooting 520 is like 3.5 working days at your hourly rate. What's your hourly rate? Yeah. 151 days and counting for your Hampshire grant. Yep. Sorry, bud. So to still here you haven't got it. Paid the fee for your renewal 184 days ago. Still no licenses. Just a reply email. See, again, it does. You know, if there is this grand plan to, you know, basically implode firearms licensing so that they have an excuse to reform it into something far more negative and detrimental to the shooting community, like, that's probably why we're seeing a zero fucks attitude to the service that is being delivered at the moment, right? There is, you know, unfortunately, sorry, my mic is pissing me off. There is a lot that seems to be adding up if you want to look at it in certain ways. You know, I don't know, just say I'm paranoid. Doesn't mean they're not out to get me. They're definitely out to get me. Mag update? Nope. No home visit. About the price of a passport. What is a passport renewal fee at the moment? Passport renewal cost £75.50. But your passport is valid for like 10 years, I think. But they do want to make firearms certificates valid for 10 years as well. So again, we've discussed that plenty of times in the past. Peter Rose, done my bit for the economy today. I spent £265 on ammo. Doesn't get any cheaper, does it? No, it really does not. Yeah, ammunition is still rising incredibly fast. You know, again, people are worried about the firearms licensing fees increase. You know, what's Minimag now? Like, Minimag is like my finger in the air of ammo prices. Minimag, CCI, UK. I think the last time we looked, it was like 120, £125 1,000. Let's have a look. That's if they've got any. £125 1,000. Oh, you get a slight 1,000 break. Okay, £106 1,000. Shooting Sports UK. Inkvat. Is that in stock? Oh, so £102 a thousand. Has it gone down? NSRA used to always be fairly good on pricing. £110. Okay, so Mini Mag doesn't seem to have gone 90. David, if you're watching, you need to update your prices, unless you really are selling it for £95, because that is pretty fucking cheap. Double Juice. I didn't know they actually sold £140. That's pretty pricey actually. Reloading.co.uk. £110 a thousand. Yeah, so you're still looking in the ballpark of about 110, maybe 120, depending where you go. £125. Yeah, so it's certainly not gone up since the last time we checked. But obviously, like primers, seriously, fuck Bitcoin. You need to invest your money in primers. Small pistol primers to be exact. We got wind that Henry Crank's got a delivery of primers, and I can't remember. It was some ridiculous number. I think it was like 500,000 primers, or even like 750,000 primers, something ridiculous like that. The day after, or 2 days after that shipment came in, Connors found out, and he'd been looking for federal primers for a very long time. Phoned them up, and they had like 40,000 primers left. Like in 2 days, like shops, then and I think customers have access to that, like the public, general retail. But most of that will be shops. Most of that will be gun shops stocking up. Yeah, there's a serious supply issue. So you can pretty much name your price. If you've got some decent pistol primers, small pistol primers, you can name your price. Actually, let's have a look. Federal small pistol primers UK. And funnily enough, the first one is Henry Crank. Do they still have any in stock? Probably didn't even make it to their website. It was probably just the trade that got offered it. HK. Well, then, are they federal? Large, small rifle primers, small pistol primers, out of stock. £100 for 1,000 now. That is getting pretty ridiculous. But that's in Magnum small pistol. Federal small pistol primers, out of stock. £100 1,000. If you want some, hit us up at Maglo. We might be able to sort you out, because we actually have a fair amount of CCI Federal and also Magtech primers. Don't buy Magtech primers. Yeah, so £100 now for 1,000 primers. Reloading primers, Remington, SMB, Magtech. Don't get tempted. CCI, yeah, 94 1,000, because they're packets of 100. Yeah. Small pistol, 1,000. Oh, 78. So again, there is a huge disparity overall between everything. So yeah, it does seem like people do have them though. Consumables. Do they have federal primers? Federal Champion small pistol primers, pack 100. What's the difference? What is the difference between the two? But they've got stock, so people do have them. But the prices have obviously increased dramatically in recent times. But anyway, yeah, that's sound investment advice. Buy primers and hold. Like the price, like ammunition and ammunition components is like petrol, right? The price never goes down. Yeah, you're never going to lose money on them. BASC, plain and simple, can't be the ones representing shooting in the UK as a whole. They are far too one-sided and would readily throw several disciplines under the bus. Yes, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I don't think BASC has fully cleared their name in this, or necessarily redeemed themselves. And definitely, it's hard because they are the biggest organisation. They do represent the most shooters, right, of anybody else, like even the NRA or the NSRA or Countryside Alliance. So they do get a very big seat at the table, and they can say, like, we represent the most people. You need to listen to us. It's very hard to challenge that. Just need the NRA to grow a pair as well now. That might be asking too much. Why are you hiding behind your mic? I would have thought, Connors, that you had spent enough of today staring at my beautiful face. I think it was because, I don't know. I like to get really close so I can do the really sexy voice. Is this going to be used to send you to sleep or keep you awake all night? Anyway, if you want to see my face, then fine. Daniel, that's fucking rich. He's hiding his double chin. I have fucking words with you next time I see you. I mean, and that's rich as well. I've seen you shirtless, unfortunately. My issue with the issues with the charges from the doctor for the report. See, now my audio's all out. I had the levels perfect because I'm used to being really close to it, like this. Hello. It doesn't smell very good. Shame you need an FAC for primers. Would be stocking up otherwise. I'm not going to get into it, but there are various defences to be able to buy primers under without an FAC. But I think the police and various agencies are already growing thin of my giving out advice on exemptions within law. Stephen Anderson, I'm paying £90 for standard CCI per 1,000 and 100 for SK match. Ew. Yeah, the feeling's mutual. The thing is, they don't represent shooters, they represent themselves. Yes, and moreover, firearms licensing, not firearms licensing, BASC, a lot of people have said, like, the majority of it, they're shotgun shooters. But then the majority of certificate holders are shotgun shooters. Like, firearm certificate holders only make up about 150,000 out of the total 600,000 license holders, right? So, you know, but my issue, my gripe has always been they're effectively a game organisation, right? They're not really a shooting sports organisation or a target sports organisation. They're about game, and with all of the stuff that's happened in recent years about game, they've made that perfectly clear. The six-figure fighting fund that we know is purely going to be used to commercialising game meat. It's not maybe exclusive, but the majority of it will be used for commercializing game meat so that game shooting becomes more sustainable and survives. Well, yeah, what about target sports, right? But anyway, that's probably enough on that. Again, I will be looking into it in more detail overall. And probably doing a full video on it, but very interesting, and I will be very interested to see where that all leads. So before I forget, because I really do want to again give you guys a big nudge, if you currently have a long gun competition license within under the UK PSA or IPSC, then there's no reason you shouldn't be joining up to this match. I'm going to put the link again in the description just to show you what this is. If you've never seen mini rifle, and also there is enough time, if you fancy doing this, there is enough time to join the UK PSA, do your safety course, your long gun safety course. There are a number of instructors offering them up and down the country. I think it's anywhere between sort of £100 to £180, depending on who and where you do it. And joining the UK PSA is something like 40 or 50 quid. So I'll give you a little look at what mini rifle is. This is last year's Welsh mini rifle championship. It was an absolutely incredible match. Had really good fun. Of course, Magload, we sponsored it because we're awesome. And it's at the new Llanbrannet shooting range, which they really are aiming to be a centre of excellence within the UK. You can see by the topology it's a huge big space which allows really nice, challenging, sort of different stages to what we get to do. Of course, myself and Connors will be there, even Big Daddy Dan, Paul will be there, the whole of Team Magload pretty much will be there. That's actually Brian trying to keep up there with Kelvin, and yeah, stage 1 didn't do the best on that one. Stage 2 isn't necessarily a good display of what they're capable. This is the sort of stage that you want to come down to shoot this match. There's Big Daddy Dan showing us. Oh my god, was that a Chris working? Anyway, this is proper run and gun stage, really long run down, and then at the end of it, some faraway targets. Really good overall. We won't talk about my potentially gamey reshoot on that stage. Again, a little bit more run and gun. Again, challenging topology. Just it's really interesting stages. The RO there, occupational hazard, bit of brass down the back. What was another good stage? Oh, fuck this swinger. Look how fast it goes. Right, and you're meant to get 3 rounds, I think it was, on there. Or was it 2 on that target? Anyway. It was just unleash and unload on it. Let's have a look. This was a fairly nice one. A little bit more of a technical one, certainly, with the Cooper tunnel. Anyway, I hope I'm telling it to you. There's still time to go and get your competition license and to sign up for this match. Follow the link below. There's the car stage, stage 10. This was a bit of a challenging one, mainly because there's loads of close targets and then far targets, close targets, and no shoots and swingers and all sorts. This was a good stage as well. Very, very hazardous because of all the many basically potholes, and also I had to run it about 15 times filming people. Nearly twisted my ankle several times, but it was all good. Anyway, it's a superb match. The team there, they sort of pride themselves, and this isn't the norm, that they have paid resetters. This might not be the case with mini rifle because there's probably more resetting and patching and stuff like that. But for the shotgun match that they held this year, as a competitor, it was really enjoyable because you actually got to just compete. You didn't have to go, and it's sort of name of the game, really, that you go and reset other people's stages. But they had paid resetters. There's Burger Van there, there's accommodation if you get in contact with them locally. Super friendly team, super amazing range, great stages. Like the shotgun match this year they held, like sometimes within a level 3, like you have to have at least 12 stages, right? And sometimes you can tell they've done 10 really nice ones, maybe like 2 or 3 awesome stages, and then like 7 good stages, and then they've gone, shit, we need to add 2 more, and then you get what they call filler stages, and it's just like, could you not have thought of anything like a little bit more exciting or challenging? And just Pro Shoot and the team there just do not do that. Every single stage, certainly at the shotgun match this year, every single stage was enjoyable or challenging in one way or another. Daniel, best match of the year. That old Chris did not finish the match well. Does any Chris finish the match well? I don't know. Ask John Thorne. Need a New Jersey. Yours is loose now. Congratulations. Yeah, Big Daddy Dan. What brands of ARs were you using? So the one that I was using in that, the one that I was using there, oh, that's coincidentally, I've been able to actually just get on a screenshot that I actually need. So this gun here, this is actually the gun that Connors uses in competition. It's a Battle Arms lightweight, obviously fully magload. It's sort of a magload dev gun as well as the gun that Connors uses in competition. And I loved it so much and regularly beat Connors with it. Just want to point out so often that I thought, actually, if Magload's going to get another development gun, let's get the different Battle Arms. So there's the Battle Arms Ambi, so that we can develop and test with that, and I use that because the Battle Arms is just a great platform overall, a super high quality gun, as we were talking about last week on the stream. So yeah, I've been using the Battle Arms Ambi, and Connors has been using the Battle Arms Lightweight. But there is that thing called Sod's Law, that pretty much every single competition that we've gone to test in since me using the Battle Arms Ambi, I've had horrendously bad performances. So I think I might have to start borrowing the Battle Arms Lightweight again, as I had a lot more success with that. So yeah, that's what we're using. It's the Battle Arms. They're built by Cotswold Classic Arms. Last week we were talking about the catalogue. Here it is again. So finally they have released the Battle Arms UK catalogue. So all of the different configurations. So there's different names for it now. So the Workhorse is effectively the Lightweight, is replacing the Lightweight, and the Authority Elite is sort of replacing the Ambi. But as you can see, it is a Ambi receiver set, and the Workhorse is a receiver model Workhorse forged mil spec. So it's sort of the same lineup, just sort of different names and some tweaks. If you're interested in this catalogue, you want to learn more about the pricing, the specs of Battle Arms, then you can drop me an email, either Callum, that's CALLUM, at magload.co.uk, or just send me an email on that, far easier, or info@magload.co.uk, but it will come to me anyway. So yeah, we will be dealers of Cotswold Classic Arms / Battle Arms. So you can either go directly to Cotswold Classic Arms. We are more than happy to pass you on and pass you the details, or if you want to order any guns through us, we are more than happy to facilitate that and work with you on that. And of course, we make a number of upgrade components for it, as you can see. Anything yellow, obviously, anything yellow on the gun is magload. So we do the flared enlarged magwell, which is specific to the Battle Arms. Muzzle brake with the Lightweight, because it doesn't have the Ambi system, you can fit our Ambi mag release, 30-degree safety. And yes, Daniel, the handguard will be coming out at some point. Seeing as Connors is actually watching, or maybe still watching, perhaps he's gone to sleep, you can ask him for once, as he's the guy that will actually be fucking making it. But yeah, that's what we were using. Another very popular gun on the mini rifle scene is the 1522, the Smith & Wesson 1522. Very, very popular overall, great value for money. The Tippmann M4, definitely need to get a new one of those in to review and test, because they've really stepped it up. A lot of the issues that I personally had with the first generations that I did the review on, they seem to have fixed and tweaked and actually majorly improved the gun. So I don't know, I'm not going to start at the moment. I don't recommend the Tippmann, and I know that really does piss a lot of people off. That's purely based on my experience, right? If people want to ask my opinion, I will give them my opinion. It is just my opinion. It's not fact, it's not emphatic, right? But yeah, I would be interested in trying it out again to potentially change my opinion on the gun. But nonetheless, the Tippmanns are very popular. Lantac, the LAS F15, very popular gun on the circuit as well, and that I do recommend from my own experience. Stay the fuck away from anything with Chris written down the side of it, and certainly if it's got Vector written after it, don't even, please don't. And certainly don't put 3 optics on it. Just yeah, what about the M&P 1522? I said the M&P 1522. Patience. Patience is a virtue. So anyway, it's going to be a great match. Even if you want to come up and watch, right? I really think ranges and the people that run these matches should be shouting about this even more, about welcoming visitors. Like, there's a burger van there. You can come and watch, right? We won't bite, as long as you don't wander onto the stage when you're not meant to. You'll be fine. So yeah, just come down, get in contact. You can always check with the range owner first, but usually like they don't care. Like, as long as you're not interfering with the match, you can come and view it for yourself. Again, we will be there the full weekend. I'm going to be filming on the Saturday and then shooting it on the Sunday. Fantastic squad, mainly because just Connors and I are in it. But yeah, but I'd love for more people to get signed up and come and experience it. There is no perfect time to start shooting level 3s or to enter competitions. Just do it. Don't get DQ'd and have fun, and you know, well, just don't get DQ'd and you will enjoy it. And in terms of signing up, this is the sign up. So if you do click that link I put in earlier, it will take you to this page. A date, maybe telling you guys a date would be beneficial. The 8th and 9th of October. And as you can see, does it have, so it's a 12-stage match. They haven't, there's no like stages at the moment, and there's no round count, so not a huge amount of information there. But this is where you fill in your details, and you can sign up and join, and you'll have a spot for the match. Hamley TAC R1 is all right for a starter AR, not quite a land TAC, but still fun for less than 500 quid. Personally, Kyle, I wouldn't go near the TAC R1. I know it's a good price, but a 1520, you can pick up a 1522 for around 500-600 quid, and at that price point there really is nothing that compares to the 1522. In my opinion. You're allowed to disagree. Many people do. I had a Chris Vector pistol with a brace and I liked it somewhat. It's not a competition gun. It's just not. Don't get me started. We'll be here all night. Anyway, talking about don't get me started, there is we need to talking of the 1522, any news on the mags? I'll keep it short and sweet this week. Unfortunately not. We are still waiting for the next test batch from the injection molders. This is what I mean, is like there's periods of 2 to 3 weeks that I've discussed this, so I think on the last stream. Mag update. We end up with these periods where the changes have been submitted to the injection molders. They're changing the molds. They're going to run a batch and send them to us. As soon as we've got them, we will be down the range and testing them. There's really no update in terms of that. Hopefully within the next week or two, we will have an update for you, and I really do hope it is good. It is really good news. It should be, all things considered. What isn't good news is the Keyham's law. We've discussed this before, but it's recently come up again in conversation. They've called it, what do they call it? The Firearm and Hate Crime Bill. Like, oh God. So it was laid out in Parliament back in March 2022, after the MPs ran out of time to debate the bill when it was first initially introduced in 2001. Mr. Pollard reintroduced the bill last month. It has already seen part of it adopted by government. English gun owners will now see a digital alert added to their medical records. Now, as far as we're concerned, this was already in place, or certainly was clarified in the new guidance. So this isn't as a result of Mr. Pollard or any new laws. This was just already an update in guidance. But this is where we still need to pay attention, because this is still active, right? The bill has already passed its first reading, with the second reading scheduled for Friday the 25th November. Other local MPs supported the bill, including fellow Plymouth MP Johnny Mercer. And this is obviously where it gets very, very silly, and actually really demonstrates the complete lack of understanding of firearms laws or firearms in general by any of these MPs. Ban the keeping of pump-action firearms in homes. Banning pump-action firearms, with some limited exceptions for pest controllers and farmers, aims to rid communities of these weapons. Pump-action is often associated with shotguns, and once initially loaded, means a gun can be fired multiple times before it needs to be reloaded. Sorry, isn't that every fucking gun out there with a magazine? Right? That's got nothing to do with the fact that it's pump action. Right? It's just unbelievable. And the fact that they haven't even mentioned semi-autos, like, don't tell them, please, for God's sake, do not tell them about semi-autos. Like, just don't. It's not worth it. But the fact that they haven't even mentioned it, and they are purely, this is sort of virtue signaling to the absolute maximum. A gun has been used in shooting, therefore we need to ban that gun, right? How it shouldn't, if they genuinely, this is get so frustrated and angry about them barking up the wrong tree consistently, right? If this was genuinely about saving people's lives, if this was genuinely about making the public safer, they should be looking at the actual issue here, which wasn't the pump action. The guy could have had a single shot hammer shotgun. He could have had an over and under, a side by side, a pump action, a semi-auto, a fucking full auto, right? It would have been the same outcome. And the reason it would have been the same outcome is because the Devon and Cornwall Firearms Licensing Department failed on multiple accounts. So perhaps if you want to honour the dead, the people that tragically lost their lives, if you actually want their deaths to mean something and sort of have a silver lining to, then maybe reform of firearms licensing is what you want to get on board with. Right? Because banning pump action shotguns, especially leaving semi-autos, is literally going to do jack shit. It's just utterly laughable, but infuriating at the same time. Of course, we do not want another Plymouth. We want to do everything possible within our power to stop another Plymouth. But it is not banning pump actions, right? Stop kicking the legal firearms owners in the gonads for once, and actually go and kick the gonads of the people that did it. Of course you can't, because they're police and you end up in prison very quickly. Actually, you shouldn't be going around kicking anyone in the gonads, just a caveat. I don't condone that. I don't recommend that. I'm speaking figuratively. But it's just utterly ridiculous. And of course they tie it in with, like, make violent misogyny a crime. What does that have anything to do with firearms? Just utterly ridiculous. But something to be aware of, something to keep an eye on. And of course, when it's read again, I really don't see it going any further. I really don't want to eat my words on that. I really don't want to have to eat some humble pie. But I can't see that going further. Like, honestly, it would just be... well, yeah, it would be indicative of how the government makes firearms law, right? Retro Mike, good evening, Callum. First time on the chat. Thanks for joining. Hope you've liked. Hope you've subscribed, and everyone else, like and subscribe. I've just joined a local shooting club. I'm finally in a position to purchase my first long-awaited. I'm finally in a position to pursue my long-awaited start into clay pigeon sport shooting. Absolutely fantastic. Spend a little while in clay pigeon shooting, enjoy it, then come and join practical shotgun. Trust me, make the switch. I did, and I never looked back. My wallet also is a lot smaller, which is a benefit because it makes my pockets less lumpy. But no, absolutely, sort of congratulations on that, and welcome. Just you're gonna have a blast. I literally clay pigeon shooting is how I really started. Technically the first live fire gun was down at my local university, my university's shooting club, but it was really clay pigeon shooting that it was like, right, this is it. This is now my hobby. And I did clay pigeon shooting regularly, like pretty much on a weekly basis for a good couple of years. And no word of a lie, I genuinely then found practical shooting, and I was like, this is like clay pigeon shooting on steroids. So, but yeah, I'm sure you enjoy it. You go out there and pursue what you want to pursue. But glad to see that you are finally getting into it, and all the best going forward. Big brain MP right there. Yes, that is some true big brain thinking. What's the plan for future videos? Any reviews coming? Yes, there are. There is a review of the Trijicon MRO coming. That's been in edit for a while. Now that I've got the price and spec sheets, I will be doing a full review of the Battle Arms Ambi, and probably a side-by-side comparison of within that or separately against the lightweight. And oh, we've got an aim point. We've got an aim point something. Creo aim point. I'm not actually that hot on the aim point. There we go. Red dot sights. Oh, fucking just show me what. Just global English. There we go. Let me see if Acro is the one that we've got. This is it. So we've actually had one of these on loaner from the UK distributor to test out and try out. We always like trying out new bits of kit. So I haven't got hands on with it yet, but this is something that I will be doing a review of at some point. So that's coming soon. Any other reviews? I will be doing a review of the core belts. I've talked about these before. I know it's not really like the most exciting thing to get excited about. But seriously, like, you know, they were absolutely solid and basically hooked me up with another like few years supply of belts. If you're looking for a belt, either an everyday carry belt, if you're looking for you know, just a smart belt, just a normal everyday belt, or even like a competition belt, please go and check out Core. And they do ship to the UK as well. What I have is their I've got two of their leathers. It's a black and a brown one, and their, where is it? I'll recognize it when I see it. It's all like interchangeable as well. Oh, let's see if I can. EDC belts. I can't remember what it was, but they were also like, so there's two big pluses to them. They're super stiff, so you can mount holsters and pouches and clip knives to it. This, that, and the other. Why can't I find it? Maybe they don't do the one. Is it that one that I've got? No. That's similar, but it's not polished. It's like a matte version of that, I think. Yeah, that's it. That's the other one. And this is what. That's actually that picture there. That's the exact configuration that I have. And this I wear like every single day. Absolutely love it. Super tough, super supportive. I wear this in matches now. Of course, when I'm competing with a rifle or pistol, I will use my Magload Stiffy, the 2-part belt. But when I'm shooting shotgun and I'm using the Velcro competition belt, which is worn more on the chest, then I will be using this because it adjusts. It's got this track line on it, which is their real selling point. Like basically infinite adjustment, and you can adjust on the fly. Like, we've all been there when you've maybe slightly overdone it in dinner. And it's like literally a lift where there's a little lever on it that you click and you can just adjust it. There'll be like some stages where I'll be like, right, I need to pull my trousers up on this one, pull them up, really haul on the belt, and it just clicks in place, and as soon as stage is done, just unclick it. So yeah, if you're looking for a belt, and I will be doing a full review of the system, but honestly cannot rave this belt enough. I wear a Core belt every single day. They've never paid me. Yes, they've supplied me products to try. I genuinely love the stuff. There's literally no other ulterior motive or benefit for me plugging them. I just absolutely love the belts, and I will never go back. All the time that they make them, I'll be using Core belts. So yes, there'll be a review of that. Of course, we've still got the American shooting trips, Kentucky vlogs. I know over the past like month or two I've had a little bit of a break on videos, and it's all mounted up, so I'm saving it really for the autumn. You know, YouTube it takes like a summer dip, right? And it's where a lot of content creators will just decide to have a bit of time off, because everyone's out there doing stuff, right? And I've been enjoying the matches. I've been enjoying shooting for once when not interfered with. And yeah, it was, I've got a shitload of content for the summer to come. And all of these match videos, there'll be a shitload of match videos. We've got the Basildon mini rifle, we've got the Yevley mini rifle, we've got the Welsh shotgun championship, we've got didn't actually unfortunately manage to film at Scotland because it was pissing down with rain. There's the Coats of Iron shotgun championship, we've got the recoil shotgun championship, which we will be moving on to in a second. So loads of match videos that will be coming out, and again will be coming out over the next maybe few months. It just takes a lot of I've now got to the point where filming stuff is pretty easy. I can usually film stuff pretty quickly, pretty easily. It's the editing that just takes so long. But anyway, talking of matches, of course we were up at Recoil Scotland this weekend, and I do have to maybe touch on now, like, as some of you may know, like, you might have already seen the post on the EnglishShooting Facebook page. So to make it abundantly clear, and to like, I am sick to death of rumours and misinformation being put out there, especially when it's again about me personally, although I've got fairly thick skin and like whatever. But when it starts affecting businesses, when it starts affecting livelihoods, and the ability to keep the lights on, yeah, that's when I take a little bit of exception to, right? So as some of you are aware, like, shooting is my full-time job, right? Not necessarily just always shooting, but if you hadn't guessed, actually it's not visible. No, I have my name on my shirt in case I forget to spell it. But I'm a part owner and director of Magload, right? Magload is sort of my full-time thing. It's my 9 to 5. I wish it was just 9 to 5. Yeah, Monday to forever. So yeah, shooting is not just a hobby for me. It started very much as a hobby, and I'm not begrudging it. It was very much purposeful, turning it into a career, but it is a full-time career. And as some of you may know, I'm also a servant of an RFD. So for a little bit of clarity, and I remember the week that it became official that I was a servant, and I put it out there because I knew some people would not believe it or question it or whatever. But basically, a servant of an RFD has the same powers as an RFD, and the RFD is there for purposes of the RFD, right? You have a firearms certificate. Sorry, you have a registered firearms dealership certificate to be able to carry out certain purposes for your business. Now, it can vary between business to business of what those purposes are. For a transportation company, it's just going to be the storage and transportation of firearms. For, the manufacturing of firearms, then you need to be able to test those guns. You need to be able to conduct R&D, right? And Magload is a practical shooting focused company, and we have for the very longest time prided ourselves improving and testing, not just demonstrating, not just marketing, but actually going out there and conducting research and development and testing new upgrade components, new modifications within a competitive environment. And if the RFD states that you are allowed to go out there and test guns for purposes of your business, it makes no fucking difference where you choose to do that testing. And there seems to be this unfortunate misunderstanding, despite there not being any mention of it within the law, that you can't go into a competition under an RFD to conduct testing. And that is categorically, emphatically wrong. Not only is it wrong just from my own reading and understanding of the law, I've actually, it's been proven, and I'm not going to go necessarily into the details of it now, but it has been categorically proven with the police and firearms licensing. And I also have one of the best firearm specialist solicitor that has confirmed this in writing, that, you know, as servants of the RFD, you know, under Magload, going into a competition and testing a gun, marketing a gun, you know, performing research and development under a gun is perfectly legal and above board. Unfortunately, certain individuals believe that we are wrong based on their own opinion. You know, so firearm specialist solicitor proving it with the police, RFD, somebody's opinion, right? Which one would you go for, right? Unfortunately, you know, people, where I am concerned, and of course where firearms concerned in the law, people become very, very skeptical and very cautious very quickly. And unfortunately, due to the interference of some individuals that were, well, like, first of all, really it was none of their business to get involved with it, but, you know, due to the misinformation that they found it upon themselves to go and spread, when, you know, turn up to Recoil and basically had to be told by the guys at Recoil, like, we can't be having you shooting a section 1 under the RFD because we've been told that that's not legal. And despite providing all of the details and all of the evidence and the backwards and forths and solicitors' letters and this, that, and the other, you know, the crux of it was that, you know, there'd been based on the information that they had been provided, their local FLD had confirmed that we were incorrect, not really understanding the full picture and having all of the information. And they were like, look, our FLDs have said, you know, without an FAC you can't shoot a section 1 shotgun, so we can't allow you to shoot a section 1 shotgun because you don't have an FAC. And, you know, unfortunately it put the guys at Recoil in a really difficult position. So I want to make it abundantly clear that it's not Recoil's fault, right? It is purely a few individuals that have gone around spreading this misinformation and have caused this issue. But Recoil did, you know, they were trying to phone the fucking chief constable and heads of FLDs on the Saturday that we turned up. They really tried to do everything to clear it up once they had all of the information, but unfortunately it was too late. So, you know, it's frustrating because not only was it the last chance to test some new products and new modifications, and to gain marketing material for Magload, because it was the last level 3 shotgun match of the year. We've also had the wonderful rumour mill, you know, and people calling into question whether there are issues with the RFD. There are no issues with the RFD. The RFD is still very much there. You know, rumours that the police have been in contact with me because, of course, I shot another, you know, I went into a competition, you know, the Coats of Irons, and I shot a section 1. So people going, well, obviously that was illegal, so obviously you've been contacted by the police. Like, the police have not been in contact with us. FLD have not been in contact with them, despite trying to make contact with them. They haven't got back to us. So, you know, I want to be completely clear that there's no legal issues here. Nobody is in trouble legally. There's no issues with the RFD. There's no issues with other people's firearm certificate. You know, what we have done previously is perfectly lawful. What we were trying to do under, you know, purposes of the RFD, again, was completely lawful. And, you know, I genuinely try to avoid creating online drama. Like, I know I've had a little bit of a penchant for it in the past, and yes, I will make, you know, funny comments about people here and there, and in the best way possible, in good humour. But I rarely will now, you know, go out there and really clarify something that, you know, is likely to cause more drama or issues. But this is something I genuinely had to draw a line under. You know, when rumours start going around there that, you know, RFDs are being lost or being challenged, or there are issues with the police. I'm not having that, right? And I will challenge it, and I will go out there and emphatically correct people. So yes, it's very, very unfortunate. It should have been an incredibly good weekend, because it was an absolutely fantastic match. And you know, really what the guys at Recoil put on there was just astounding for their first match. Talking earlier about 12 stages within a level 3, they put on 14, right? It's like it's their first one. And I haven't actually got the video of it. I haven't had time to really I haven't had time to get all the footage of yet, but I don't actually have many photos of the pirate ship. So there we go. You have to excuse the main subject matter, but tell me you're in Scotland without being in. Tell me you're in Scotland without telling me you're in Scotland. So you can see behind it, right? Iron Brew for scale. They built a fucking pirate ship, right? And that's not like a half-assed attempt, right? That's a full-on, like, shiver my timbers, walk my plank, with a mast pirate ship. That's the effort they went to, full 14 stages, and they were absolutely incredible. So it's just a real shame that I didn't get to experience them on a personal note to the fullest extent. And the Magloads lost out on that commercially for a variety of different reasons. But anyway, I just felt, again, I needed to make that abundantly clear and clarify any rumours or whatever. It's being dealt with. It's gonna be cleared up. And sort of the funniest thing, I don't want to chance it, I don't want to jinx it, but the funniest thing is that probably by the next level 3 match that's going to be held here in the UK, I might even have firearms certificate, so it really becomes a non-issue by that point. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the stages of Recoil. There will be a full match video coming out at some point. So this, obviously, this is why I'm shooting a section 2. As you can see, for the most part, it's slower, but it's the old shoot 2 load shoot 2. So this was the in the bunker stage. So you start there with your knees, your elbows on your knees, head down. Gun is loaded, option 1, fully loaded. You've got 4 plates there. And then you've got 2 poppers that will fling up 2 clays. Nice little short stage, but very easy to go wrong. Sort of hesitated on that first one because I didn't think I'd hit it well enough, but ended up sort of just smoothly getting everything else, got both of the clays, and that was, yeah, a fun little stage. But really it's one of those that you need a section 1, because there's a load. That's a second or 2 lost, another second or 2 lost, another second or 2 lost, and I mean, people doing this stage in something like 4 or 5 seconds. But really enjoyed that one, certainly with the clays, the fact that they built this bunker as well with sandbags. Great overall. Actually, I'm going to bring up this video. This is all the stages that I've pulled off so far, and sort of like the pirate stage was a favourite of the match, but I just haven't I haven't got that one yet. But other than that, these are my favourite ones. You might have seen a different angle to this on the channel. This stage has now they've got me the nickname The Rabbit. Yes, so you've got 4 targets here on the left. You've got a W stage design, and then it's mirrored, and another 4 plates on the other side. Now, within IPSC, you can get a procedural for shortcutting a stage. So you can see, well, actually, why are you going to walk around that tyre when you can just shortcut it? Because if your foot, within IPSC, if your foot touches outside of the fault line here, and you don't go back and go back through and from the point that you stepped out, you will get a procedural, a 5-second or 5-point penalty for every shot fired after that shortcut. However, if you jump, if you enter the shooting area and land wholly within the shooting area, it is not considered a a shortcut. So I decided to go absolutely balls out on it. And I managed, I think, about 3 or 4 seconds. Only 3 or 4 seconds slower than the fastest time set on that stage. So very happy with that. But frustrating, because I think overall, if I'd have had a section 1, it might have even been a stage win, because I had to do 3 loads. There was a standing reload there, a load on the move, which always slows you down a little bit, and then a standing reload on the other side. You know, a dual load I can usually smash in within sort of a second or two, even at the fastest of, say, a second. You're talking 3 seconds for three different loads. That would bring me in the ballpark of the fastest time set for this stage. But yeah, jumping with a gun like that over some tires is not as easy as it looks, especially doing it safely. But of course I'm just fucking awesome and just make it look godlike. Modest, humble, all of these things. This was an interesting one. Basically you had to start with this can and place it within in a container to activate some new targets. You weren't allowed to throw it directly into the container, but you had to get rid of it to be able to shoot the plates first, and it was more efficient to throw it and then pick it up later on. So again, a stage that really does suit, say, a section 1 shotgun, because there's a whole array, and it was an odd number as well, which is just killer for a section 2. I then didn't help matters because I ended up missing the last plate. Yeah, there we go. Activated the shot saver. Another load, pick up the fuel, drop it in, activate some swingers, which you can sort of see here in the corner, and I think I went 1 for 1 on everything else. The other thing about this section 2 gun as well is it's just not running right. It loves to jam. That's the bunker, we've already seen that. This I'm quite proud of. And again, I'll get my excuses in here. So I think the fastest time within standard division was 20 seconds, around 20 seconds for this, and I ended up doing it in 27 seconds with the section 2, which is pretty fucking baller, if I'm not going to say so myself. And this was not only with all the extra loads that I had to do, because it's shoot 1, load 1, you're going to see me have to pause and flick the cartridge a few times. So there were 3 jams on this, which with this gun I am incredibly proficient at clearing now. But it was at least a second each go. So like really, again, if you know, and the section 1 version of this gun that I would usually use to test within competition, it runs so much better. So you know, not only am I using a section 2 which is limited capacity, but it jams as well. So I think without those jams, if the gun was running, you know, I know what if, but if the gun was running as it should, I'd probably have been looking about 24 seconds overall, and that, so my actual time for this put me 8th overall in division, and without the jams, I think it would have probably put me in and around 5th. Which I don't think is too shabby. And this was I really liked this stage, and it really did flow. There we go, there's the first jam. So stop and flick, quick quad load. There was 1 to the left there, take that. 3 on this side, so 1 quad load. Probably should have started moving there, but I do start moving on those last 2. Another jam in that aperture, another jam as well, quad load. And I think this is really where I managed to save the most time, because so many people topped up. That was like an incredibly fast spinner, and there were people that was taking multiple shots on it. Can I zoom in? Enhance? No, but if you watch it swing. Now I did have a little bit of an advantage, so there, got it in the first rotation with the first shot again, which saved a huge amount of time. This was the final stage of the day for me. Went pretty well. I did miss one here, which I don't think I lost a huge amount of time, but I had to deploy the shot set. Well, no, actually I lost a huge amount of time because I then ran dry, and running dry with a 2+1 is just absolutely death. And this was awkward. Loading, strong hand loading, going backwards on the right hand side not particularly easy. But I really did like that stage, but it could have gone a lot better for me. And I was going to say something else about it. Oh yes, so the reason on the second to last stage that I showed there, the reason I had a little bit of an advantage is because I did actually get a reshoot on it. On the first go, everything went to shit for me. I ended up, I can't remember what happened. Oh yeah, it was a fluffed load, which then put me out of sync for the entirety of the rest of the stage, and it went really bad. But when I got to the popper to activate that swinging clay, I smashed it right in the, like, bang on. Couldn't have got a better hit on it, and it just looked at me. It just sort of went, and what? And I'm like, you're meant to fall, mate. Anyway, and I went to go and take another shot at it, and I shot it, and then it fell. Well, that's something called range equipment failure. Basically, the range equipment didn't do what it was meant to do, so they actually stopped me before I could even try and engage the clay, and they gave me a reshoot. So I had the slight advantage of that I had already seen the activation of that clay, and maybe had a little bit of an edge on where to aim and how to time the shot. Maybe. Other than that, I just like to think that I'm just genuinely awesome. Humility is not a strong point. But anyway, yeah, fantastic match. Really the tip of the iceberg in terms of the stages. There was one that involved a few, climbing up a platform and jumping down. That was a fun little stage as well. But yeah, overall a fantastic match, and there is no shadow of a doubt, despite it taking 7 hours to drive up there and 7 hours to drive back, I will 100% be attending the next recoil level 3, be that in mini rifle, shotgun, or whatever level 3 they want to put on, I will be there. Any update on your certificate application yet? No, I had my interview 4 months ago. I was told it was 2 or 3 months until I'd hear something. Still haven't heard anything. It's all being dealt with my solicitor. Basically, they're chasing firearms licensing on my behalf. Jamjint, no matter in what circle you find yourself in, there are always a number of Jeremy Hunts. Nicely put. Did you see the news about Swiss gun crime on the increase? No, I didn't. I'll have to have a quick look at that. Rimfire, do you know something we don't about your certificate, Callum? Are you keeping secrets from us? In regards to my certificate, absolutely not. I think I've touched upon it before. There are other previous matters which have now been resolved that actually had a much bigger part in the delaying of my certificates. I don't necessarily think it's beneficial at this point to really disclose. I think, maybe wait until my certificates have come through, and then I'll weigh up whether I go into detail with things. It's done and dusted, right? Maybe while things were going on, it might. Wow. The thing is, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, I have been told specifically by the head of Hampshire Firearms to be more open and honest, so I guess they can't really have a go at me being open and honest about things, but you never know. But basically, there were other delays, other matters that needed to be resolved. I think that's what I used to say is, there were things, matters and issues that arised that needed to be resolved until my certificate application could proceed. They were all done and dusted. They should have been done and dusted a lot quicker, and I don't think they should have really arisen in the first place. As my solicitor put it, no legal merit. And that's how it's basically, amongst all of what happened with that we basically categorically proved that testing testing, marketing, and R&D within a competitive environment is perfectly lawful under an RFD or as a servant of an RFD. But yeah, in terms of what's going on with my certificate right now, like genuinely, there's nothing else. Like genuinely, I've had my interview. I am in the pile like everybody else. The firearms licensing management team are, whenever they convene to discuss it, they will. And then I will either get a yay or a nay. If I get a nay, I'll be appealing it. Like, there's no... At the end of the day, I'm a servant of an RFD. I have a gun in my hands pretty much every single day of the week. I shoot at pretty much the highest level within the UK. I fly all over the world shooting in high-level competitions. I'm going to be at the Pan America Handgun Championships in a couple of weeks. I literally don't know what more there is to show that I am a safe person with a firearm. It's almost like if I was a danger with a firearm, you'd definitely know about it by now with the amount of firearms that I've had in my hands. And on a day-to-day basis, I'm a full servant of the RFD. I have access to the armory whenever I want to. I could literally jump in my car right now, drive into work, open up the armories, and go and hug a gun, completely unsupervised, which helps. Less questions. So yeah, it's one of these things that I don't know. I genuinely can't understand why it would be a no. Not saying that it necessarily won't be, but if it is, I think I've got a reasonable grounds to appeal. And as all you should be, I am insured up to the fucking eyeballs with illegal expenses insurance. So it's not a question of money. It's just a question of enacting all that insurance and going for an appeal. So yeah, that's where we are with that. Personally, number 69 has a nice sound to it. Thanks for that information. Channel membership when? Is it? I don't think YouTube UK allows channel membership. I know for a long time it was only US that can do it. Anyway, if people are interested, I know roughly a little bit about it, but if people are interested in English shooting, if I have the possibility, let's have a look. Right, monetization, memberships, clothes. I think get your membership offer. Yeah, I think I might be able to do memberships. It does mean that I then have to do specific bespoke content and obviously reward people for memberships. Maybe that's how I get you to sign up for memberships. Perhaps if you really want to know what's happened before anybody else, what's happened over the past few years, maybe I'll make it a membership series. Oh, I like that. I mean, I need to pay for the legal bill somehow. Happy Colin First has membership. Yeah, you can get membership. So I will look into that. If people genuinely, and I get what you guys are saying, and I really appreciate that you would even sort of like suggest that to me to do. So I'm a little bit flattered you'd want to join an English shooting membership. I'll look into it. I'll see what perks I can give you guys. Even if it's just Maglo discount codes. It's so easy. So like, why haven't I not thought about that before? He already has an OnlyFans you can subscribe to. This will be cheaper than that. My OnlyFans is peak premium OnlyFans. How about yours, Daniel? Only Dan's. No. We all wish you the very best. Really appreciate that. Who would you recommend as the best for insurance? We covered this last week. I would say Gunplan covers all your bases, but also with the CPSA, because if and I need to make this clear. I didn't make this clear enough last week. The CPSA only covers shotgun certificates, but if you have a shotgun certificate and a firearm certificate and they are both revoked, in winning back the shotgun certificate, you will be able to get back your firearm certificate. And also, if you have a coterminous certificate where they are clumped together, their insurance will still enact and work for getting back the coterminous. So the only circumstance that CPSA insurance won't work for you is if you solely have a firearm certificate. You need to have either a separate shotgun certificate or a coterminous certificate. But I would recommend Gunplan or joining the CPSA. The main reason for the CPSA is because the in-house counsel is Laura Sainsbury, who is also my solicitor. If you want a vote of confidence, that's the vote of confidence. She's absolutely fucking brilliant. And the reason I have CPSA membership is that if I do need to launch an appeal, I would rather not be paying for my solicitor, and I would rather somebody else was paying for me. That would be very, very, very handy. So yeah, anyway, that's Gunplan, CPSA, you'll be covered. Can you give us instruction cards for when the boys in blue turn up in your guns? Yeah, as it turns out, I make little notes either during stream or before stream. It's been sat there. Thanks for reminding me, because I almost forgot about it again. Yes, I actually want to sort of talk to Laura about that and actually get something that's sort of bona fide and sealed off. Just checking, you don't need a shotgun certificate to get a firearm one, right? No, absolutely not. But if you're getting a firearm certificate, you would be mad not to get a shotgun certificate. So but no, you don't need to get a shotgun. You don't need to get a shotgun certificate to be able to get a firearm certificate. But anyway, I will look into the cards again, as I said I would, and I also look into channel membership and see what we can sort out for that. But yeah, apart from that, I am going to call it a night, guys, and head off. Before you all head off, make sure you hit that like button, and if you have enjoyed the stream, if you enjoy screaming, you want to go faster. If you've enjoyed the stream tonight and this is your first time and you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But at the very least, hit that like button. It's free and it makes me very, very happy. Oh, Aaron T, when you get your FAC, do you plan on getting a straight pull AR-10 in 308 and an AR-15 in 223? I think you said it's on the list, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is very much on the list. What I would like to do now, I think, is probably have like all battle arms. So, you know, maybe even have like the same lower, but just go for different uppers. But I don't know. That's the nitty gritty. That's the fun stuff that hopefully at some point I will have the pleasure of doing. But anyway, guys, as I said, I am going to leave it there. Hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. There will be a video coming out this week. I don't know what yet, but it will be coming out, I promise. I'm going to get back into the weekly videos and of course weekly live streams, because of course we do the stream every single Thursday, 8:30 p.m. So 8:30 p.m. UK time. In the meantime, check out the channel for other videos if you haven't already. Hope you all have a fantastic week with lots of shooting in between, and I'll see you guys next week, of course. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.